Nur al-Islam! Jenže, to pro vás něco znamená. Já vím, že málo z vás ještě teď věří v Aláha a jeho posla. Ale pamatuju na poslední osvobození. Taky byli všichni proti invazi. Uplynulo pár nocí a kolik tady bylo dobrých přátel Sovětského svazu. Já vím, že dostanete šanci si to rozmyslet a vzpomenete si mnozí z vás, že jste vlastně vždycky byli dobří muslimové. Teď budou převíry v madrasy. Provedeme revizi knihovna. Co to tam máš? Co to tam máš? Ne. Nebudeš se dívat na muslimu, jiného muslima. Na kormusí.
It's kinda hard to keep a straight face with this video, but what you just saw was a recording from an anti-Islam demonstration in the Czech Republic, one of the countries that's largely being ignored in the recent Islam in Europe debate, even though having a very clear and very strong position on it. And yes, you saw right, people actually dressed up as Islamic State fighters and took to the streets to raise awareness for the dangers posed by radical Islam. On a side note, they even planned a staged execution, but that sadly did not actually happen because the police stepped in and, well, cancelled the event. So of course I thought, man, this is going to be big. You know, imagine the same thing happening in Germany or France even. Everyone would be talking about it and calling Konvichka, one of the organizers of the demonstration, either a hero or an absolute Islamophobe. But for some reason, nothing happened. Nobody cares. In fact, the more I looked around in Western media, the more I realized that this demonstration, along with the entirety of Eastern Europe, was being largely ignored, or shunned even, as anti-progressive Islamophobes. And that's honestly pretty fucking stupid if you ask me. We are completely ignoring or even belittling one of the, if not the most militant anti-Islam bloc of countries in Europe and maybe even in the world. A bloc of countries where some people unironically dress up as Knights of St. Lazarus and Knights of the Teutonic Order when protesting Islam. I've already made a video on how savage the Czech Republic can be when it comes to refugees or Islam. Their president basically called all able-bodied male refugees cowards and thugs for leaving behind their families to get rape-killed by the Islamic State. You can watch the video here, by the way. But I still think that people do not understand the reasons and the rigor, essentially, of Eastern European anti-Islam sentiments. I am often asked, why? Why do those guys hate Islam so much? And the answer is honestly a bit too long for just one video, but I'll try to make it really short and really shallow right now. The answer is a history of oppression and foreign rule, especially after the Second World War. People tend to forget that the East European socialist bloc collapsed just 27 years ago. A good chunk of people still remembers how it was to live under a totalitarian foreign rule, and they are scared shitless to allow any such element back into their society. They just now regained some semblance of national pride, so it kinda makes sense for them to be really anxious about it. You know, just imagine you are being born in the 1960s in Eastern Europe. As a kid you see tanks rolling through the streets to restore loyalty to your Soviet Union overlords. As a teenager, you were completely discouraged and even forbidden to be an individual, let alone rebel against the establishment. If you as much as dared question socialism, your future career was over and you might have ended up in prison even. And as an adult, well, basically you shut your mouth and kept the pace. Then, in your late 40s, it finally looks like it's all going to be good. It looks like it's all over. You live a few years in relative peace, and then one day, Islam knocks on your door. France, Belgium, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Sweden, and many other countries haven't made those experiences recently. They don't understand the historical context of the current Eastern European resistance. There is no collective, living memory in those countries of what it's like to live under totalitarian rule. This, I think honestly, is also the reason for the West's portrayal of Eastern European anti-Islam resistance. Either don't portray it at all, or portray them as backwards, anti-progressive, Islamophobic savages. What the people in Prague did with the staged Islamic State invasion was in bad taste, let's not kid ourselves here. But I also think that it was both hilarious and it might have even had a decent educational effect on people. We, as Europeans, have mostly banished violence to our video games, movies, and to the fringes of news. Especially the young generation thinks that real-world violence only happens somewhere in the deserts of the Middle East. Surely it could never happen to me. All it takes, literally all it takes, is one person. Finding out how to build a bomb costs you maybe 15 minutes on Google. Buying the ingredients for a fuck huge payload costs you maybe 100 bucks. And actually detonating it costs about a dozen people's lives. Of course, there were also negative effects to this demonstration. People panicked and tried to run into restaurants to hide, and quite a few of them were actually injured in the mass panic. It also might have a boy who cried wolf effect, and the next real terror attack might go largely ignored or even laughed at until it's, well, too late. With all of that said, I think the best thing that we can do right now is to have an open and honest debate about the current situation. The honest part everyone has to handle for themselves, but the open part is made pretty hard with the current reporting and the current media. That's why I brought along the video from Prague. And if you personally have any largely ignored but still interesting news from your country, be sure to drop them in the comments. I am Dr. Layman, glad you tuned in, and as always, Babylon prevails.